chapter 9, verse 9. It says, among other things, "See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." So here we have the disciples who had literally walked with Jesus in the flesh for 3 years. They would have or should have known the Old Testament prophecies, yet they didn't see and they didn't understand what had just happened until what? Until Jesus died. Sometimes there are things and situations in our lives that we are blinded to. Even though we should know better, we just don't see it. Until something dies, we can't clearly see what we should have known all along. Think about your own life. We all have a past, we all have history, we all have things we've walked through. Maybe at one point you would have said, I was addicted to fill in the blank. Maybe you would say, I dealt with anger or greed, whatever it might have been. And if you think about that time in your life, there's a chance that you didn't even realize how bad it was or how messed up your situation was or how much damage it was doing to your family until that thing died in your life and now you're on the other side of it. And just like the disciples now could see clearly after Jesus died, now that that thing is dead, you can see, oh, wow, I was really trapped. I was really stuck. It was really messing me up. And so if that's true of perhaps a situation in your past, could it be true that that might be where you're at today, where I'm at today? That we are stuck in a situation or dealing with something that we don't even recognize how bad it really is, and it needs to die? And that's why I've been asking that question all week. What needs to die? Verse 17. Now the crowd that was with him when he called Lazarus from the tomb and raised him from the dead continued to spread the word. So this massive miracle just happened. Lazarus was dead for days and days. Jesus raises him from the dead. Word spreads all over. And then at verse 18, it says, many people, because they had heard that he performed this sign, went out to meet him. So the Pharisees said to one another, see, this is getting us nowhere. Look how the whole world has gone out after him. Then this part really caught my attention. It says, now there were some Greeks among those who went up to worship at the festival. And they went up to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, with a request. Sir, they said, we would like to see Jesus. Philip went out to tell Andrew, and Andrew and Philip in turn told Jesus. The reason that stuck out to me is the next portion here. It says Jesus replied, but it doesn't actually say that Jesus replied to the Greeks. It doesn't say Jesus replied to the disciples. It doesn't say who he's addressing. Is it the crowd? Is it the Greeks specifically? It doesn't actually say, so it's leaving us with having to draw some conclusions. It doesn't give us what we need to know. And so what I think is happening here is Jesus is answering the question that the Greeks were going to ask before they even asked, because he just simply knew. He knew what they wanted to know. He knew what their question was, and I believe their question was, can I follow you? Can we follow you too? They were not Jews, and Jesus was the king of the Jews, but they saw all that he had done, and they believed, and they wanted to know, can we follow you too? And so Jesus replied in verse 23, and I think he answers the what of the question. Can we follow? Here's what he says. The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. What is he saying? It's time for me to die. And he says, very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. So this promise, this projection from Jesus saying, I'm about to die, is showing all the people that are listening, yes, you can follow me too. What is he saying? He's saying, when I die, all nations, not just one nation, not just one single seed, not just Israel, will be saved. All nations will have the opportunity to follow me. Many nations, many seeds will be the result from my death. This aligns with what Jesus was trying to communicate in John chapter 10. Just a couple chapters earlier, Jesus described himself as a shepherd. He says, I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. So he's talking about the Jews, but he's also talking about everybody else too. They're going to come too. I'm going to bring them with me. And how is it that they're going to be welcomed in? They're going to be welcomed in when I die. So this image of the grain that is planted, it can apply not just to Jesus' situation, but to all Christians, all the followers. You know, Jesus went first. He always goes first. He leads by example. He washed his disciples' feet, dirty, nasty, stinky feet. He got down on his hands and knees and he washed the feet. He led by example. He went first. He went first in his baptism. John the Baptist said, no, you baptize me. And then Jesus said, no, you baptize me. Jesus went first. Jesus went first, yes, in death. And ultimately, what we celebrate is resurrection was first also. 1 Corinthians 15:20 says, but Christ has indeed been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. Jesus went first in all of these things. He's showing us what this process of dying to those things looks like so that there can be a harvest on the other side. So he answers the question of the Greeks by saying, yes, you can be my follower. That was the what, and now he's going to tell them the how. How are you going to be my followers? In verse 25, anyone who loves their life will lose it, while anyone who hates their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, my servant also will be. My Father will honor the one who serves me. There's this phrase that Jesus says, whoever hates his life. And that always jumps out at me, and it always makes me question, like, Jesus, do you actually want us to hate our lives? That doesn't seem like what God would want for his people, to hate their lives. And he doesn't actually want us to hate our lives. It's an exaggeration. It's a hyperbolic type of statement. And what he's saying is, compared to how much you care about me, how much you love me, how much you serve me, that amount of love for me looks so much bigger than how much you care about your life that in comparison, it looks like you hate your life. That's what he's trying to say. He's trying to get us to understand that the things of this world that so many people get caught up in and tied to, the systems of the world, the values of the world, he's saying if you hate those things, which most people value, you will lose your life here, but you'll gain eternal life with me. There's such a better thing on the other side. He's telling them you need to die to the things of this world. And the cross that Jesus would encounter in just a few days, the impending cross, is the same cross that all of us will endure. Not the literal cross, but the dying of ourselves. Now, his original disciples, they died a real death because they followed him. And I'm thankful that we live in a day and age that we don't have to worry about that. But we do have to encounter and face things that we need to die to. But Jesus went first. Jesus went first. Again, going back to John chapter 10 and this idea of Jesus being a shepherd, he says, I will lead them out. He goes out ahead of them. What does that mean? It means the shepherd, Jesus, is going to encounter everything that the sheep encounter before they do. He's in front. So the rocky, rough terrain, the wind and rain, the lack of food, the lack of shelter, whatever is going to be encountered by the sheep has already been encountered by the shepherd. He's already gone through all of it. And here's the promise that he gives us, that wherever I am, you will also be. He died first to show us what it looks like to die to ourselves. And it's because of that death that we are empowered, right? The same power that rose Jesus from the grave lives in us. It's because of his death and resurrection that it gives us power to die to the things of this world so that we can be where he is. And we've got to put more of a focus on the things that come from the death than the death itself. We always view death, and I'm not talking about literal death, again, figurative death. But this image like it's a bad thing. Like, oh, I've got to die to this, I've got to die to that. But Jesus did not speak of his death as a tragedy. It wasn't a bad thing. He spoke of his death in terms of glorification. That's how he phrased his own death. And so that's how we've got to view when we're dying to the things of this world. It's not bad, it's good. God is not mad at us, or he's not frustrated or angry with us and wanting us to die to those things because he hates us. He's doing that because he loves us and he wants what's best for us. It's about what's on the other side, that abundant harvest that's coming on the other side of those things. And so we live in this tension between Sunday, today, Palm Sunday, welcoming Jesus into the city, into our lives as King. And what we know is coming on Friday is this death. But the death is what enables our victory. It sets us free from the world's systems. And so just like they welcomed Jesus into the city, we need to welcome Jesus into those areas and parts of our lives where we need something to die. And just like they shouted, Hosanna, what were they saying? Save now. Save now. As we welcome Jesus into those areas and aspects of our lives where we need something to die, we shout Hosanna. We say, save now, save now, save now. And he says, yes, I will. But how did he save? He saved through death. He's asking us to die to those things. And so what they didn't understand then, as they shouted, was that Jesus would save them through the cross. But what we do understand now is the same thing, that it's through the cross. It's through the cross. The cross symbolizes a lot of things, right? Hope, freedom, forgiveness. But ultimately, the cross symbolizes that the way to life is through death. The way to life is through death. And so what needs to die? That pride, that selfishness, the arrogance, the sinfulness. What is it in your life? And if we want to see our marriage flourish, right, that single seed is going to die, but then it's going to produce many other seeds. It's going to have a harvest of abundance on the other side. Maybe it's in our marriage. We want God to do something in our marriage. What is he asking us to die to? Maybe it's selfishness. Maybe it's pride or greed. But as we die to that, on the other side, there's life, there's an abundance. Maybe it's in an area of our jobs or at school where we know we need to encounter something. We need help to get past it. We need help to grow in it. But we're afraid to ask for help. What needs to die? Pride. Pride needs to die. And so how do we do that? How do we get those things to actually die? Let's look at verse 27. Jesus says, my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this very reason I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven, I have glorified it, and will glorify it again. The crowd that was there and heard it said it had thundered. Others said an angel had spoken to him. But Jesus said, this voice was for your benefit, not mine. Now is the time for judgment on this world. Now the prince of this world will be driven out. And I, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. He said this to show the kind of death he was going to die. So Jesus said that he was going to die by being lifted up, right? Lifted up on a cross. But the lifting up wasn't what drew them. It wasn't what drew all people to him. It's not what still draws all people to him. It was his death. The lifting up was just to symbolize what was going to happen. It was his death that drew him. And so when we talk about what does it look like to die to ourselves or to die to sin or to die to things that he doesn't want us carrying with him as we follow him, it looks like us looking at the cross. It looks like us taking our eyes off of everything else and putting them on him and realizing just how much he endured, how much he went through. And when he died, he released his spirit all over the world to start to draw and pull us towards him. And when we look at him, we can't help but to be drawn in. And we look at the way he died, the significance of his death. Think about the whipping and the beating, the punching and the slapping. Think about the hair from his beard being ripped out. Think about the crown of thorns being pressed in, jammed into his head. Think about him being literally nailed hand and foot to the cross. When we look at the way that he died and an undeserving death, and then we realize that it was us who deserved that death, it was that punishment that we deserved, and even if we endured that, it would still not be enough. He did that for us. He did that for you. He did that for me. And when we look at that, And when we're drawn to him through that love that was demonstrated as he poured it out on the cross, we're drawn to him. And I can't help but to want to be dead to everything in my life, everything in this world that caused that to happen. I don't want anything to do with that. And it says that as he is glorified, as he's lifted up, he will draw. Now, I know that literally meant lifted up on the cross, but I think there's another component. As we lift him up, as we worship, as we glorify, as we magnify who he is, as we praise him, as we lift him up, we will be drawn closer and closer to him. Just like he said, all men will be drawn to me when I'm lifted up. We will be drawn into his presence, and in his presence there is freedom. In his presence there is joy. In his presence there is peace. In his presence there is healing. We will be free from all the things of this world as we're drawn to him. Take our eyes off ourselves. Look at him. Look at the cross. You will be free from those things. He has so much more in store for you. So much more in store for me. He doesn't want the weight of this world to stop us from encountering everything that he has. That's why he wants us to die to it. Pastor Leah and worship team, if you would come and begin to make your way back to the stage. When we look at the cross, when we look at what he's done, I don't think we can help but to recognize just how worthy he is of our praise. No one else could have done it. No one else would have done it. And he didn't have to do it, but he chose to do it. And he's worthy. He's worthy. He's worthy. No one else is worthy but him. And so as we step into this question, and I want to take a few minutes this morning, and the worship team is going to begin to play, and I just want to give you an opportunity to do a few different things. Number one, you can stand and you can sing and praise along with them. You can find time alone at the altars off to the side or at the front of the room. But I want you to ask that same question that I've been asking all week. What needs to die? And I want us to take our eyes off of our life and put them on the cross. And to ask ourselves, who else is worthy other than Jesus? No one else is worthy. Who else is worthy to live for? And how do we live for him? We live for him by dying to the things of this world. He led the way. He showed us by example what it looks like, and he showed us what's on the other side. He said, God will honor the servants that follow me. His death is described as a glorification. That's what he wants for us too. As we die to ourselves, as we die to sin, we take our eyes off of us, put them on him, and when we focus on him, we win. He won. The victory is secured. Now he's teaching us how to walk in it. Let's walk in it by worshiping him, encountering his presence, and declaring, Lord, you're worthy.